Project Hail Mary is arguably the biggest film we've got so far this year. You've got Ryan Gosling as its lead. It's based on a novel by Andy Weir, the author of The Martian, and a bunch of other great books. And it's from the creative team, Lord & Miller, that brought us 21 Jump Street, the Lego Movie, and the Spider-Verse films. So does it live up to the promise, or does it totally miss the Hail Mary? Let's find out in this week's episode of Snack Break. Hello and welcome to this episode of Snack Break, the perfect podcast pop on while preparing your cup of tea or ideal snack or beverage. I'm Bendigo Blue. In this episode, we're going to be discussing all things Project Hail Mary. That's the brand new film from Lord & Miller, based on the Andy Weir novel of the same name, and starring Ryan Gosling as Ryland Grace. Along the way, we're also going to be talking about the brand new Gorillaz album. That's The Mountain, their first album in a few years now. I believe it's been like 3 or 4 years or something. That has been a much anticipated return for them, and in my opinion, a very successful one. So we'll be talking all about that. And we're also going to be breaking down 2 of the biggest trailers of this year. We're going to be discussing the trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day and Dune Part 3, which should have been called Dune Messiah. I understand why they didn't do it, but I just wish they called it Dune Messiah, okay? Anyway, let's get on with things. Let's review Project Hail Mary. For those unaware, this is a brand new movie from the directorial duo of Lord and Miller, the team behind 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, both the Lego movies. I believe they did the second one as well. And alongside the directors of those films, they have executive producers here. They spearheaded a lot of the success of both the Spider-Verse films. And also, they partially directed before Ron Howard took over and reshot apparently about 70% of the film, Solo: A Star Wars Story, which I would have loved to see their sort of director's cut of that. I doubt we'll ever get it, but in my opinion, it's actually a pretty good Star Wars film, so I'd love to see their version of it. But anyway, that's besides the point. Project Hail Mary is based on the Andy Weir novel of the same title. Andy Weir, author of The Martian, alongside a number of other novels, and with Project Hail Mary, Lord and Miller deliver a moving and beautifully executed film that not only exceeds all reasonable expectations, and that's already with very high expectations for the team up of Lord and Miller and Andy Weir, but also teaches an amazing lesson along the way in the art of adaptation. As this is, of course, based on the Andy Weir book of the same name, it's worth noting here that the process to convert this into the cinematic medium really, really works. It's a story that was made for the big screen. Perhaps one of the few limitations of text may be the ability, arguably, to describe the stunningly visual, especially from the first-person perspective that the novel utilises to great effect. And Lord and Miller make every scene of this film a true testament to the power of film. Every second seems to be an incredibly impressive image in freeze frame alone, yet it's crucially completed by the consistent vitality and creativity of their shots movement. In addition to fostering an Oscar-worthy effects catalogue, and honestly, I dread to think for the suffering of the poor team who had to coax it together on what I presume was largely green screen. Obviously, for a lot of the space station stuff, they would have had props and stuff, but it was only about halfway through the film that I appreciated that for the scenes where they're properly in space, that they would have had to green screen it. They didn't just boot off Ryan Gosling off into the cosmos and filmed him. But I was just that immersed in the film, as well as the editors who amazingly arranged the piles upon piles of challenging and beautiful shots. They successfully pruned the often, and only my opinion, heavy insistence on scientific accuracy that runs throughout the source text, maintaining enough of Weir's scientific passion and realism to offer a grounded perspective, yet cutting enough to allow for emotion and spectacle to take the forefront. I think it's worth noting that a particular display of this is the fact that basically the first 100 pages of the Andy Weir novel are converted into about 20 minutes here. And as much as I enjoyed the novel, and I know a lot of people really enjoy the scientific accuracy that we're so passionate about, it's personally not something that I'm into as much. It's personally my opinion, and again, only my opinion, that at least in terms of how I prefer things, I think the wonder of fiction should almost be that part of your belief should be suspended, and that in the science fiction, the fiction, it's okay for the fiction to normally take the helm. And I think often within reading the Project Hail Mary book myself, and this is a total tangent here, not connected to the film at all, because as I said, they pruned a lot of this stuff and took it out. I did find that there was more of the science than the science fiction, and I do find that the beauty of fiction is you don't have to rely on it quite so much. But as I said, a bit of groundedness is always very good. It's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people love that stuff. Anyway, It's a wonderful Goldilocks zone of sitting at roughly interstellar levels of scienciness. That all goes to say. Of course, there will always be sections that fans of the book will wish were included. A few not quite 12A appropriate jokes were edited out, and Strat's character seems to have been fundamentally changed in many ways, but the latter in particular only benefits the film. Additionally, there's even one delightfully unexpected scene featuring a modern pop song that was seen in trailer numero uno for this film that really elevated the human perspective that is integral to the film. And I also haven't been able to stop listening to the song since, so there you go. In terms of performance, Gosling delivers an irresistible warmth, charm, and imperfection as Ryland's Grace. And although I struggled to fully receive the emotional impact until the end, perhaps a perspective perhaps shaped by the fact that I read the book very, very recently and hadn't even finished it by the time that I got to watch the movie. So a few of the last bits of the film, pretty close to the end, but a few of the last bits of the film, a few of those revelations were more exciting to me in the cinema, I guess. And his charisma with James O'Hortis' Rocky, who is voiced to perfection, really makes the movie. Sandra Huller, Milana Vayntrub, and Lionel Boyce all deliver great performances as well. So apology if I butchered any of those names. They're all great in the film. Overall, although it admittedly comes into its own within the second half and the final 20 minutes definitely positively altered my perspective somewhat, no spoilers here though, Project Hail Mary excels in its adaptation from the source material, combining brilliant visuals and a sprinkling of appreciated accuracy with real warmth and connection. I'm placing Oscar bets already. It's time now for Bendigo's musical musings, where in this episode we're going to be talking all things Gorillaz, or in particular the brand new album, The Mountain. This is their first album in a number of years, and for those who have been living under a rock for quite a while now, welcome into the 21st century for a start. And also Gorillaz, for those unaware, is the collaboration of Damon Albarn, who was the lead singer of Blur, and also is behind The Good, The Bad, a member of The Good, The Bad, or was a member, I should say, of The Good, The Bad, and The Queen, and legendary cartoonist Jamie Hewlett, who, quick mention, on the sort of press trail for this tour, which has been really, very good. They've had some amazing performances on Graham Norton's show, amongst other places, where, but at SNL America, I should say now, was the big one. And Damon Albarn was present because he was doing the lead vocals. Although, actually, also there, I should say, they had, for Clint Eastwood, they had Del the Funky Homo Sapien there, who did an amazing performance. And also Jamie Hewlett there, which is a really, really good thing, because something that's been very interesting, I think, and we're going to talk about later in this little segment, is the way which the cartoon or the artistic visual side of Gorillaz is intertwined with the music. And I thought it was just really, very good that they went to the point of getting him there. Damon Albarn obviously did an amazing job performing alongside Del the Funky Homo Sapien and the rest of the Gorillaz band. It was a really amazing performance, and he had sort of his pacifist gear on, for lack of a better word, which I honestly really, really support. So that was a really great performance. But just to say, having Jamie Hewlett there is amazing. I'm going to skip straight to the point here. It's a 15-track album of varying lengths. I'm looking at Demon Days. I had that open. It's a 15-track album of, I would say, varying lengths, but actually a lot of them are pretty long. The Manifesto, which features Truno and Proof, is 17 minutes long. It's 7 minutes long. So there's a variety of pretty long songs on here. There's only a few 3-minuters on here, which would be what you'd expect on average from a lot of modern music. I'm going to cut straight to the point. It's amazing. This was inspired by a recent trip which Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett made to India following the passing and amongst the grieving of both their fathers. And it is such a beautiful album. The way they combine some obviously just hard Gorillaz bangers in there. The Happy Dictator is certainly the big banger in there, and it's one that you can put on very easily. It's, in my opinion, sort of an all-time Gorillaz song, and you don't have to think about it too much because it is just a really good time to listen to. But underneath all that, there's still deeper layers, deeper meanings. Obviously, The Happy Dictator is quite a title. It features Sparks, the track, as well. So there's a lot to be considered in there. My personal favorite for a while was Orange County, which is sort of built up to by The Hardest Thing, which features Tony Allen, and then after that you've got Orange County, which features Bizarrap, Kara Jackson, and Anushka Shankar, and it's one of the more grief-centric songs on the album, and it deals with this theme in such a beautiful way. But in my opinion, Orange County particularly, it's one of the shorter songs on the album, but I think it just deals with it in such an eloquent way, and it's so beautiful in its execution, and it's upon the release of the album, it's the one that got the most radio play. And I have to say, I'm really glad that they did go for that one, because as much as it's not an all-out pop song in the way that you'd expect it to be, it is still such a beautiful, it's such a beautiful song with some really lovely sentiments. You just have to listen to believe it, honestly. It is a really, really, a very, very great piece of music. And the way in which there's such creativity with a lot of the vocals here. You expect that from Gorillaz, and they've really gone to town on intertwining a lot of multicultural languages in here, which is really, very good. They've got a bunch of amazing collaborators. I mean, there's dozens of collaborators, which is really, really nice to see. I have to say, I also really, really like The Mountain. That features Dennis Hopper, AJ Prasanna, Anushka Shankar, and I'm going to draw out Spotify because there's loads of people on this track. Can I see? The point is, The Mountain features a lot of people on it, but it's such a lovely, lovely song. And the first time I heard it, I really was not in the zone for it. I was like, what the flip? I just want more of the Happy Dictator. Give me some of that. But so I paused the album and then properly sat down and listened to it the day after, when I was feeling a bit more contemplative and in the mood for it. And I have to say, I've really, really warmed to it. There's only a few vocals in there. Or only a few lyrics in there, sorry. And it's just the way in which they use the instruments in this is really, really beautiful. Aside from the album itself, which again, absolutely 5 stars, could listen to again and again. Just, I cannot recommend it enough. The way they deal with the themes, just the sheer sound of it, and the combination of great fun songs with ones which deal with these themes in a bit more of a melancholic way, but always with that classic Gorillaz experimentation and touch. It's really a great album. But alongside that, there's obviously the Jamie Hewlett cartoon aspect to, cartooning and illustration aspect to it, which cartoon, I'm an artist myself. I do a lot of art. Calling it a cartoon seems a bit harsh, so sorry for that. But the illustration element of Gorillaz is obviously something that's really, really strong, and a lot of the rendering that had been coming out in the months building up to this album were really, really good. However, there's a notable lack of a music video, and it seems the reason for that was the fact that around the time that the album released, within the album, the week that the album released, we got The Mountain, The Moon Cave, and The Sad God, which is an nearly 9-minute short film, which was directed by Jamie Hewlett. There's a whole team of amazing animators and artists which have worked on it. It's a Jungle Book inspired story that takes the cast, or the fictional cast of Gorillaz, and puts them in that setting on a wonderful adventure that uses and utilizes that music. Obviously, the first 2 songs on the album, The Mountain and the Moon Cave, and then the last one on the album, The Sad God, to such great effect. And it's really, really not only a beautiful short film, which does so much more than I think a lot of music videos could have, even for Gorillaz standards, where they make excellent music videos. It's just such a testament to art and the power of art, and in a world of AI art. And, you know, obviously, I don't think this was one of the main intentions to it, but in the world that we're living in with the release of this album, a lot of people have pointed out, Gorillaz themselves, Jamie Hewlett himself, it's a very anti-AI piece in the way that they've gone about it to obviously such a great extent of effort. And on their Twitter, you can go search it out. They've put out a bunch of amazing behind the scenes stuff. So the album is beautiful. The short film is beautiful, and they only put it together in 6 months. So it's truly astonishing. I am just so amazed by it, and so delighted that we got this, as opposed to music video, which I'm sure would have been amazing. But a 9-minute short film featuring the cast of Gorillaz and getting sort of a look at some of the creativity that might have gone into that Netflix film that we never sadly did get is really just a delight. Also, something that's quite interesting, I think, obviously when Gorillaz started, going into the lore a bit here, it was the illustration was much more intertwined with the music, and obviously that still maintains to a part. They're never going to entirely separate, and obviously the visual identity of Gorillaz is so key to the band as a whole. But Damon Albarn was obviously not on stage at the start for the earlier performances with Gorillaz, and obviously that changed quickly enough. But now when you look at their performances on SNL, or when you look at their concert performances, Damon Albarn very much is front and center stage alongside the other musicians. And obviously there's reasoning for that. He talked about, it's well known that he wanted to be performing and wanted to be on the stage. And you can definitely understand that for somebody who was the frontman of Blur, and obviously is an amazing musician in his own right, even separate from all the other aspects that make up Gorillaz. Now, I should say, the visual aspect of concerts do just look amazing. They've got the music videos, illustrations, animations by Jamie Hewlett on in the background, and it really is impressive. But in an aspect of Gorillaz where we are getting more and more of Damon Albarn representing the onstage presence, who obviously is great, is amazing at this, made all this amazing music, so I'm not hating on it, it's absolutely amazing. But also getting to see Jamie Hewlett being the visual artist behind Gorillaz, getting to see him on Radio 1 alongside Damon Albarn on SNL, and again doing this, still getting to do this amazing animated work, I think is just really, really lovely to see and so important to what makes Gorillaz amazing as a whole. So all in all, I cannot recommend enough both The Mountain as an album overall and Gorillaz, The Mountain, The Moon Cave and The Sad Girl. Go check it out. It's a great listen and a great watch. Let's talk trailers, because the last couple of weeks, in a matter of 24 hours of each other, has seen the release of some of the biggest. I think it's interesting as well that they are being very decisive about, no, this is the grand conclusion. We're not hinting at any other trilogies right away. Perhaps there will be some sort of post-credit scene, but I guess it makes sense with Villeneuve taking on the next Bond film. It makes sense that he'd perhaps want to be done with this trilogy, and perhaps later he comes back if he wants to do the later Dune books, which I know go off in a bit of a different direction to the first three, that first trilogy, and or perhaps somebody else will take that on. You know, we've seen that other people can handle Dune with the Dune series, which obviously Villeneuve had a big part in, but certainly it's interesting that they're marketing it as such. But all in all, it looks like a really, really exciting trailer. Then onwards to Spider-Man Brand New Day. Look, I was privileged to be in a room of nerds when this trailer dropped, and I went, oh, guys, it happened. Guys, you Spider-Man trailer. And the excitement was certainly palpable, because it is an amazing trailer. So many comic references in there that are just really... This trailer, I think, just really understands what Spider-Man is, and it understands the relationship between Spider-Man and Peter Parker. And that's something the trailer does so well, with just a lot of the really striking comic book reminiscent, comic book referencing imagery that flows throughout the trailer. It's some truly beautiful shots in there. It's really, really just a Spider-Man fan's dream. Also in there, we've got the likes of John Bernthal as the Punisher, some really fun relationships, a dialogue in there between Peter Parker and the Punisher, and already I think any doubts that relationship couldn't work or being extinguished even just in the low action sequence we got within the trailer. Mark Ruffalo returning as Hulk, or well, as Bruce Banner at least, looking very, very exciting. We've got the Hand appearing, which obviously hinting to Daredevil, very, very exciting. We've got the Scorpion. There's just so much big stuff in there. But look, I don't need to tell you that. I don't need to tell you that this is an amazing trailer. Same goes for Dune Part 3. They are both amazing trailers to watch in the cinema. What I do want to say is I think it's been a bit unfortunate that in the time since this trailer has come out, we've seen a bit of hatred going around online, or not necessarily hatred, but sort of downplaying of the benefits and strengths of the Homecoming trilogy, which were, of course, Spider-Man Homecoming in 2017, Spider-Man Far From Home 2019, and in 2021, end of 2021, Spider-Man No Way Home. And they do show a very different side to Spider-Man, and they're all directed by John Watts. I think it's really important that we remember, yes, this trailer looks amazing, but we have not seen the film yet. The film could be rubbish. We could just be being shown, and obviously the trailer's broken all sorts of records. It's the most viewed trailer of all time. It's even surpassed GTA 6, which is just absolutely insane. But the trailer could end up being, could end up being rubbish in the end. You just don't know until you see the film. Likelihood is going to be very good. Daniel Destin Cretton seems to be moving on to a whole other level here. We knew he was amazing already with Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings and Wonder Man, or the stuff he did for Wonder Man, which was very, very good. But he does seem to be moving on to a whole new level here. But we just don't know until the movie drops. And so I think it's certainly worth holding back any particular judgment on comparison between the Homecoming trilogy and Brand New Day. And I think it's very important that we remember, however good Brand New Day may turn out to be, and the trailer looks amazing. The trailer does look like it could end up being better than any of the Homecoming films. Homecoming still did really, really well from Spider-Man. We came out of an era which perhaps hadn't always been so positively received in terms of Spider-Man content, and made a really amazing trilogy that introduced us to such a lovable character of Peter Parker and did him justice in transferred him into the MCU and did him justice more than we could have hoped, than MCU fans, Spider-Man fans could have really hoped. So I think it's very important that we do reserve judgment until after them. But what are your thoughts on the Homecoming trilogy and their relationship with Spider-Man Brand New Day? And what are your thoughts for the brand new trailers for Spider-Man Brand New Day and Dune Part 3? You can drop those down below in the comment on our YouTube and Spotify pages. That is it, though, for this episode of Snack Break. Thank you very, very much for listening. Coming up in the next episode, we've got discussion, hopefully, all being well, of the Super Mario Bros. Galaxy movie, as well as the brand new live concert album from AJR. For now, though, I've been Bendigo Blue. This has been a Huncap Hour production. See you soon. Stay safe. Have a good one. Bye.